to the family BBQ. They all called me a failure, laughing behind my back and dismissing my dreams like I was nothing. But now, when my sister's struggling and desperate for a job, she's the one knocking on my door, begging me to use my connections to get her hired. You think you know someone until they step into your boardroom, completely clueless, and see you at the head of the empire they mocked for years. The smell of citronella and sizzling burgers filled the evening air as the Carter family's annual summer BBQ kicked off in suburban Denver. Laughter echoed off the back deck. Kids darted between patio furniture, and uncles sipped craft beers, arguing over fantasy baseball. I stood by the gate, the weight of a decade's secrets pressing against my chest, my smile a practiced mask. I'm 35 now, but still seen as the aimless graphic design grad who never got her act together. My younger sister, Abigail, commanded the center of the gathering in her cream sundress, excitedly recounting her latest triumph to a cluster of impressed relatives. "She's unstoppable," my cousin whispered to Aunt Linda, their eyes gleaming with pride that never once turned my way. "Abigail just wrapped up her dual MBA at Stanford and Northwestern," my mom declared, loud enough for everyone, including me, to hear. "She's been fielding offers from Fortune 100 firms. That girl's going places." She beamed like she'd orchestrated every milestone of Abigail's life. "Unlike some people," Mom added under her breath, her eyes flicking to me with a pitying smirk. I sipped my iced tea and braced for the inevitable jab. "Meanwhile," she continued, her tone sharpening, "some of us still can't pick a path, right, Sarah?" "Oh, let her be, Diane," Dad interjected, his voice dripping with false sympathy. "Not everyone's cut out for the fast track." I arched an eyebrow, but stayed silent. Across the deck, my dad chuckled as he flipped a burger on the grill. "Still messing with that side hustle of yours?" he asked. "What was it again? Cloud something or other?" He laughed, not cruelly, but with his usual dismissiveness. "Maybe one day you'll surprise us, Sarah," he said, winking at Abigail, who stifled a giggle. I traced my finger along the condensation on my glass, thinking about the 8 a.m. boardroom. Meeting tomorrow, the one where we'd finalize the acquisition of Preston and Sons and unveil our expanded leadership team. The one where I, founder and CEO of Nexus Solutions, would greenlight the deal. "Something like that," I muttered, letting it pass. But inside, I was counting the hours until their smug assumptions would shatter. The irony. Just then, Abigail clapped her hands to grab everyone's attention. "Guess what? I've got a huge interview tomorrow with Nexus Solutions. They reached out personally. It's one of the top data analytics firms in the nation." Cheers and congratulations erupted instantly. My Aunt Linda hurried over with a glass of Pinot Grigio. "That's incredible, Abigail. I read a piece about their founder. Brilliant woman, completely self-made. She's a mystery, though," Linda added, lowering her voice. "No one knows her real story. Bet she's ruthless." My dad nodded approvingly. "Their standards are sky-high. They don't hire just anyone." I stifled a laugh, picturing the curated candidate shortlist from HR sitting in my inbox, Abigail's resume among them. I could almost hear her polished answers, rehearsed to perfection but hollow under scrutiny. She had no clue that the company she'd been raving about for months was mine, that I'd built Nexus Solutions from my one-bedroom apartment in Boulder 12 years ago, that while she climbed ladders others laid out for her, I'd carved my own. "What role are you interviewing for?" I asked, keeping my tone casual. Her eyes gleamed. "Lead data strategist. Can you believe it? That's basically C-suite adjacent. It's a game changer," she boasted, tossing her hair. "I'll be running circles around their execs in no time." "Oh," I replied, smiling into my glass. "I'll be curious to see how it goes." She laughed, then added with a condescending lilt, "Maybe once I'm in, I can put in a word for you, Sarah. I'm sure Nexus Solutions has some junior office jobs. Don't hold your breath, sis," she added, her voice syrupy but sharp. "Well, you know," my mom nodded approvingly. "That's so generous, sweetheart. Evan knows your sister could use the nudge." She trailed off, waving vaguely at me. 35 and still whatever this is. I thought of my sleek corner office in downtown Denver, perched on the 30th floor of Nexus Solutions headquarters, with panoramic windows and a private meeting room. I thought of the Inkware profile last month that named me one of tech's most influential women, though it used my professional alias Ellen, and a shadowed photo to preserve my anonymity. I'd spent years dodging their judgment, letting their barbs fuel my drive, but tomorrow the mask would come off. I'd spent the last 12 years building Nexus Solutions in the background. By choice. I knew this moment would come eventually. "That's sweet of you," I said, my voice steady, almost amused. "Good luck tomorrow," Abigail smirked, flicking an imaginary speck off her polished nails. "Some of us make our own luck, Sarah. You should give it a shot sometime." "Poor Sarah," she whispered to Mom, loud enough for me to hear. "Always a step behind, isn't she?" The bow. Conversation shifted to my cousin's new loft, my uncle's golf tournament win, and more of Abigail's academic accolades. I let their words wash over me like white noise. Tomorrow would rewrite everything, and I wanted to savor every second of this last evening, the final time they all saw me as the family's footnote. I caught Mom's eye across the deck, her pitying glance cutting deeper than her words. Not for long, I thought. The reckoning. As twilight settled, casting amber glows across the cedar deck, Abigail stood, clinking her glass for attention. "I've got to head out early," she announced. "I need to be sharp for tomorrow. Nexus Solutions CEO is sitting in on final interviews," she added proudly. "Ellen Carter or something. No one even knows who she really is. She's probably some corporate shark," Abigail said, smirking. "But I'll charm her. I always do." "Well, they'll love me," she proclaimed, tossing her hair confidently. "By this time tomorrow, I'll be on their leadership team. Maybe then you'll have something to brag about," she teased Mom with a wink. "Oh, honey," Mom gushed, dabbing her, eyes theatrically. "We're already so proud. At least one of our daughters stayed focused." "Unlike certain dreamers," Mom added, her voice low but pointed, her gaze locked on me. I glanced at my watch. 12 hours and 45 minutes until Abigail would walk into the boardroom and see me at the head of the table. 12 hours until their entire perception of me shattered. I could already picture her face. Shock, then denial, then the slow burn of humiliation. I grabbed my purse, mumbling something about an early client call. "Oh, right. Your little freelance thing?" Mom dismissed. "Don't forget to PayPal your share of your dad's anniversary gift." Abigail already covered most of it, as usual. "Always picking up your slack," Abigail muttered, rolling her eyes. I nodded without responding. They didn't need to know my freelance thing had cleared 9 figures in revenue last quarter. Let them hold on to their assumptions. I slid into the driver's seat of the nondescript blue sedan I used for family gatherings, leaving my silver Porsche Macan tucked safely in the underground garage downtown. As I gripped the wheel, a quiet resolve settled over me. This was the last time I'd hide who I was. As I backed out of the driveway, Abigail's voice rang out one last time across the lawn, bold and certain. "Tomorrow, everything changes." "For you, maybe," I whispered to myself, a faint smile curling my lips. "But for me, it's just another day at the top." She was right, just not in the way she imagined. The reveal. By 6 a.m., I was already in my corner office overlooking the Rocky Mountains, dawn painting golden streaks across the skyline. The city sprawled below, a testament to ambition, and I stood at its pinnacle, ready to claim my moment. The soft hum of early morning servers booting up was strangely soothing. I'd built this from nothing, and today it would come full circle. The tailored navy Armani suit felt less like style and more like armor. I adjusted my cufflinks, each one engraved with the Nexus logo, a silent reminder of every sleepless night that got me here. As I reviewed the agenda, my executive assistant, Kayla, knocked softly and stepped in. "Your sister's interview is set for 8 a.m. sharp," she said, handing me a thin folder. "She's already in the lobby. Showed up 20 minutes early, punctual. That's a first." "She's nervous," Kayla added, smirking. "Keeps checking her reflection in the glass doors." I raised an eyebrow. "She's also tweeting about it. Future exec at Nexus Solutions. Her words. Marketing flagged it. She's even told reception she's going to revolutionize the place once she's hired. Revolutionize, I repeated, a dry laugh. Escaping. She'll be lucky to survive the first round. I suppressed a chuckle. As she knows. I opened the folder. On paper, Abigail was impeccable. Dual degrees, stellar recommendations, glossy internships. But I knew the truth. Internships secured through Dad's old college buddy, endorsements from our uncle's consulting firm, a curated resume draped in designer sheen. Every line screamed privilege, not grit, and I'd built Nexus on the latter. The board's curious why you're personally handling this one, Kayla added with a grin. Quality assurance, I said simply, standing. How many interviews before mine? 2, she replied. All prepped. They'll ask the tough questions. Good, I said, my voice steel. Let's see how she handles pressure when Daddy's not there to pull strings. By 8 a.m., I stood behind the one-way glass on the executive floor, watching Abigail stride into the conference room. Tailored Gucci blazer, Louis Vuitton pumps, an aura of entitlement. She greeted the first interviewer like she was doing them a favor. Her smile was all teeth, but I could see the cracks, nervous flicks of her wrist, a too-tight grip on her portfolio. Over the next 90 minutes, I watched her facade crack. Every rehearsed response faltered. Every shallow credential was dissected. Every presumed achievement questioned. By the second interviewer, her voice trembled, and I felt a flicker of pity, then remembered her smirk from last night. By the time she reached my interview, her eyes were weary, her voice shaky, her smile visibly strained. She looked like a boxer after 10 rounds, battered but too proud to quit. Send her in, I told Kayla. Abigail stepped into my office, trying to mask her awe as she took in the floor-to-ceiling windows, curated sculptures, and the quiet authority of the space. Her eyes lingered on the framed Forbes cover in the corner, my silhouette unmistakable, but still a stranger to her. My back was to her chair, facing the mountain view. Please take a seat, Miss Carter, I said, my voice calm and crisp. Sat, folding her hands. Thank you for seeing me, Miss Carter. I know how valuable your time is. I'm sure you do, I said, letting a hint of irony creep into my tone. I turned slowly, letting the moment linger. Actually, I said, meeting her gaze, it's Miss Carter Sarah. The color drained from her face as the truth hit. The name on the building, the initials in the press releases, the sister she'd mocked for years. Sarah, she whispered, her polished composure crumbling as her mouth fell open. No, she gasped, shaking her head. This can't be right. You're nobody. Whatever scripted answers she'd prepared vanished. This doesn't add up, she stammered. You're just a gig worker. That's what Mom said. Mom said a lot of things, I replied, my voice icy. None of them true. Am I? I gestured to the wall behind me, lined with awards, patents, and framed Fast Company covers, hailing Nexus Solutions as a leading AI-driven analytics firm in the West. I built this company from the ground up, while you and Mom scoffed at my side hustle. While you flaunted your MBA, I was closing deals with global conglomerates. Every time Dad called me a dreamer, I was onboarding Fortune 50 clients. Every jab, every laugh, every poor Sarah, I turned it into fuel, I said, leaning forward. What did you do with your silver spoon, Abigail? You deceived us, she said, her voice breaking with disbelief. You lied. Lied? I shot back, my eyes narrowing. I gave you every chance to ask, to care. You chose to laugh instead. No, Abigail, I replied evenly. You all deceived yourselves. You were so convinced I was a failure, you never once asked what I was actually doing. I picked up my phone, opened my banking app, and showed her the anniversary gift payment Mom mentioned. I just sent my share, 7 figures. To me, it's pocket change. Look at it, I said, holding the screen closer. That's what success looks like. Abigail's tears brimmed in her eyes, angry, humiliated tears. So what now? You're going to humiliate me? Tell everyone? Humiliate you? I said, my voice low and dangerous. You did that yourself the second you walked in unprepared. I shook my head. I don't need to. Your interview today spoke for itself. 4 senior VPs independently recommended against hiring you. Overconfident, shallow, unprepared, entitled. You thought charm would be enough, I added, my words cutting. This isn't Dad's golf club. This is my empire. You set me up. Set. You up, I laughed, cold and sharp. I gave you a shot you didn't earn, and you still blew it. I gave you what you wanted, an interview with the CEO. It's not my fault you weren't ready. I stood, smoothing my suit. I suggest you look elsewhere. Abigail, and maybe build some real experience. Something beyond Instagram flexes and Dad's country club contacts. Because here, we value substance, I said, my gaze unrelenting. And you, sister, have none. She rose shakily, her designer heels now clumsy, her outfit more costume than command. Do Mom and Dad know? Oh, they'll know, I said, a bitter smile flickering. And they'll hate me for it. But that's their problem now. They will, I said, stepping toward the door. I'm sure you'll tell them all about meeting Ellen. I pressed the intercom. Kayla, please escort Miss Carter out and cancel my lunch with the family. I've got a board meeting to prep for. And make sure she doesn't touch anything on her way out, I added, my voice firm. Yes, ma'am, Kayla replied. As the door closed, I heard Abigail's voice crack in the hallway, followed by stifled sobs, not the triumphant exit she'd envisioned. I turned back to the window, the city glittering below, and felt a weight lift. The truth was out, and I was free. The aftermath. Within an hour, my phone lit up with family texts. Mom first. What kind of stunt is this? Abigail's heartbroken. Then, Dad, how dare you embarrass your sister? We've raised you better. You call this family? Mom's next read. You've torn us apart, Sarah. I stared at the screen, exhaled, and set it face down. They finally knew who I was. They just didn't realize I'd stopped caring about their approval years ago. Their anger felt distant, like static from a radio I'd already turned off. I sent one reply to the family group chat. You raised me to succeed. Congrats. You did. Now maybe you'll see what real success looks like. And don't bother calling, I added before hitting send. I'm busy running an empire. Then I powered off my phone and turned to what mattered, running a multi-billion-dollar tech firm that had reshaped an industry while they were busy ridiculing me. Let them grapple with their new reality. I wasn't slowing down for their discomfort. I'd spent too long in their shadow, and now the light was mine. In the months that followed, the family dynamic shifted palpably. Calls, when they happened, were tense. The casual jabs and backhanded comments about my gig were gone, replaced by awkward pauses, strained smiles during virtual holidays, and an uneasy silence that lingered like dust. Mom tried to play peacemaker once, her voice trembling on a call. Sarah, can't we just move past this? I hung up. Abigail landed a mid-level analyst role at a small consulting firm across town. No prestigious title, no corner office, just a standard job earned the hard way. I heard she cried when she signed the offer, realizing her dreams of glory were dead. Mom and Dad stopped hosting their weekly barbecues. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe they didn't know how to navigate a world where the daughter they'd underestimated now ran the empire they'd once mocked. Or maybe they couldn't face the neighbors who'd all read the headlines by now. But the moment that sealed it came 4 months later. Forbes published a feature titled, The Quiet Titan, How One Woman Built a Billion-Dollar Empire While Her Family Saw Failure. My face was on the cover. Sharp suit, Nexus Solutions headquarters in the background. No shadows, no ambiguity, just me. The headline burned into my memory, a vindication I hadn't known I needed. I had 12 copies overnighted to each family member's doorstep. No note, no message, just the magazine, just the truth. I imagined Mom's hands trembling as she opened it, Dad's jaw tightening as he read my name. The article chronicled my journey from scraping by in a tiny Boulder apartment to founding one of the most innovative AI analytics firms in the US. It detailed the milestones, the unseen sacrifices, the relentless drive they never noticed or bothered to ask about. It quoted a former professor. Sarah was always a force, quiet but unstoppable. Her family never saw it coming. The closing line read, "Sometimes success doesn't need to scream. Sometimes it just signs the contracts." And honestly, that was enough. I didn't need their applause or their acknowledgement. I'd built something real, something enduring, something they couldn't diminish. And every time I signed a new deal, I felt their doubts dissolve into nothing. Let them tell their neighbors. Let them rewrite their stories to save face. Let them pretend they always knew. Meanwhile, I'd be at Nexus Solutions, overseeing our expansion into Asia, securing 3 new enterprise contracts, and mentoring the next wave of women in tech. I was no longer their punchline. I was their reckoning. Success had spoken for itself, and for me, and I had no plans to lower the volume. Not now, not ever. If you've ever been underestimated by the people who were supposed to believe in you most, I see you. I spent years being called too flaky, too creative, too adrift. While my sister soaked up praise, I was the family's punchline. But I didn't fight back with arguments or validation chasing. I built something undeniable, something they couldn't ignore no matter how hard they tried. And every tear I shed in silence became a brick in the empire I stand on today. And now, after all the silence, I'm sharing my story. Not out of spite, but to remind you. Your worth isn't tied to how others perceive you. It's tied to how you see yourself, so stand tall because the world will catch up or it'll get left behind. So if you've ever felt diminished at a family cookout, if you've hidden your wins to keep the peace, or if you're still grinding in the shadows, drop a comment below and share your story. Tell me what you're building, what you've overcome, or who you're proving wrong. Not for vengeance, but for your own damn peace. Because the ones who laughed loudest will be the first to beg for your spotlight. And if you felt a spark of validation watching me go from unemployable to CEO, hit that subscribe button. Not just for more stories like mine, but to join a community that cuts through the noise and sees quiet resilience for what it is: strength. We're not here to beg for applause. We're here to build legacies. Let them laugh, let them doubt. We'll keep building. Because sometimes the best way to win is in silence, until your name's on the skyline. And when it is, they'll wish they'd seen you coming. Before you go, how's your day been? Really, I want to know. Got a small victory you're proud of? Or maybe you're pushing through something tough? Drop it in the comments. I read them all. This channel isn't just about success stories. It's about real people doing real work, even when no one's watching. Let's celebrate the quiet wins because those are the ones that echo the loudest.